What's up, guys? Dr. Seth back to solve more powerlifter problems. So, if we are jacked up, if we have had a major injury, if we've had something where the structure of our body has changed, whether that's like arthritic changes, whether that's joint degeneration, whether that's a muscle tear where the thing hasn't healed back together, whether that's something that's been surgically reattached, whether it's been a fracture where the bone is different than it was before, we can't blame that structure for our continued experience of pain. We can't be blaming that structure for inability to access range of motion. We can't be blaming that structure for repeated injury. And it's like, yes, that structure can play a role, but if we are placing the entirety of the blame on structure for a pain, for repeated injury, for a lack of range of motion, for a lack of control of a joint, for a lack of ability to do something, as long as we are blaming that structure, it's giving us an out, it's giving us an excuse to not do something to get better, to not do something to change our expression of what we can do as humans in the gym, in life. And one of the best examples I can think of is going back to the pec video I posted the other day. After I tore my left pec the first time, after that big muscle belly tear, now that I had that ball of scar tissue in there and I kept having those repeat strains, I was like, I'm straining my pec over and over again because of that scar tissue. I'm straining my pec over and over again because of that tear, and because there's scar tissue and because it tore before, I can't do anything about it. And because I thought that it was there and because I thought that I had to blame the old tear for what I was experiencing, I wasn't doing anything about it because I thought that I couldn't. As soon as I kind of realized that, like, I'm not having this happen over and over again because of the tear, I'm having it happen over and over again because I'm not doing enough. As soon as I realized that I could do something for it, the pec started to improve. But until that point, it just kept getting worse and worse and worse because I thought that there was nothing that I could do to change my outcomes, to change what I was able to do with my pec. And similar story for any of the other major things that I've dealt with in my career. With my right shoulder, for those of you who don't know, I grew up racing motocross. I shattered my right humerus when I was 14, had it screwed back together, so my right arm is now shorter than my left. The head of the humerus looks all nasty. I've had 2 more surgeries on that side, correcting stuff or trying to reattach stuff after a bunch of dislocations. So like, my right shoulder's a mess. And I was in constant pain in the right shoulder. I was always hurt. It never felt good. I could barely get under a squat bar. And I would blame the shoulder, I would blame the structure, I'd blame what's going on with it for my inability to get under the bar, for the constant pain I was in. And until I realized that I could do something about it, blaming it didn't let me do anything because I thought that's how it always has to be. There's nothing I can do to fix it. And it's like, once I started to do things to challenge my shoulder at its end range, to challenge my shoulder's ability to move, all of a sudden it started to be able to move a little bit better and a little bit freer, and it finally started to make some progress in the right direction. And now that I'm 3-4 years into that, it's like the x-rays start looking cleaner. It's like the arthritic changes, they're less detrimental on the x-ray imaging. It's like my shoulder is freer than it was when I was 18 at 28, and it's just because I've started to do things to allow my shoulder to adapt, to change, to do what I want it to do. And it's like, even if we have structural damage, even if we have structural alterations, those alterations can be adapted to. The Jordan Shallow muscle doc thing that he always says is we can outfunction structure. And that is one thing that I absolutely agree with. But not only can we outfunction structure, if we begin to challenge the structure that's present, if we begin to ask that structure to handle more and do more, that structure may never go back to its original if it has been altered by major injury, if it has been altered by surgery, but that structure can begin to work better for us, and it can begin to handle more and do more and be better at what we want it to do if we just keep asking it to do things at a rate that it can handle and at a rate that it can adapt to. Now, obviously, like with my pec or with my shoulder on the other side, it's like, if I all of a sudden said, okay, the previous tears don't matter, the scar tissue doesn't matter, my pec being weak as shit doesn't matter, let's just go load up a max bench, that wouldn't have been a good time. But what allowed me to make the changes, what allowed me to get better, was gradually challenging that pec over time, gradually asking it to do more, and it was able to do more. With my shoulder, it's just been a matter of gradually asking that shoulder to get some rotation back, gradually asking myself to build that scapular control to support the shoulder. gradually asking myself to bring my grip in narrow on my squat so that I can actually get into a good tight shelf and be totally locked into the upper back. If I didn't ask my body to make those changes, if I didn't try to make those changes, if I told myself that there's no way that change could happen, I would not be here and I would not be having the success that I am right now with my training, with my lifting. Because again, if I had blamed my structure, I would not have had a reason to try to change. If I had not learned to challenge my structure, those changes would not have happened. So guys, if we're in pain, if we are limited in some way, yes, we can say that our structure, yes, we can say that our body does play some role in that, but we can do something about it. We're not broken. And even if we have been broken, even if we have been injured, that does not mean that we cannot do something about it. We need to train our bodies to be able to handle what we want them to do. We need to be able to train our bodies to do what we want them to do. We should not be limited by our structure long term. And obviously, yes, we can be realistic. We can say that I am here right now experiencing what I'm experiencing because of what my structure is doing. That does not mean that your structure has to limit you tomorrow. That doesn't mean that your structure has to limit you next week. That doesn't mean that your structure has to limit you 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road if we are proactive and if we ask ourselves to make progress. So guys, do not be afraid of training. Train your bodies to do what you want them to do, and sooner or later, if it's available, that adaptation will happen and you will be able to do more than you are right now. Again, if you're fucked up, if there's massive degeneration, if there's massive changes, you might never be back to totally healthy, totally normal, but you can be better than you are right now. And it is so worth the effort to get better if you are screwed up. Thank you guys for watching. If you know someone in chronic pain, if you know someone with a nasty injury, share this video with them and give them some hope to make positive changes to their bodies, to their training. And if you guys can't figure it out on your own, that's what my online rehab stuff is for, so hit me up and I'd be more than happy to help you out. Thank you for watching.